Alright guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how I installed my LED pod lights onto my 2013 F150. I'll be using these lights, these brackets, this switch, and all of that wiring. So for this project, I decided to go with these black oak LED pod lights. They're 2-inch pod light. I got them in flood, and I believe I got the CREE, their CREE option, because I guess that's a little bit brighter. I also got their 2-piece connector to connect the lights, so I don't have to deal with that wiring later. Overall, these lights were I think like 90 bucks a piece, and this cable was like $15. There was a discount on their website at the time. I'm pretty impressed with their initial quality. Really nice connectors, really nice wires. This one's not as nice. I guess this is a new part. They might just be kind of doing this wiring and this sheathing temporarily until they can get something nicer that looks like this. They sent the packaging came really nicely. They sent a nice thank you letter and a guide to using their lights, which is really nice. On the other hand, the brackets I got are from Tuff Stuff 4x4.com. So I got these because they were a pretty cheap option. The other solutions for mounting these pod lights on the hood brackets, I know you can get some from like Stage 3 Motorsports for like double the price, about 120. These only cost 65, so that's kind of why I was looking at them. So initially when I got them, they were mailed in like a plastic envelope with some padding in it, but still some pretty significant scratches. Hopefully nothing too bad. I'm probably just going to spray paint them over again to protect them so they don't rust at all. I'm a little disappointed with how they came, and also there wasn't even a packing slip or any kind of directions. It's pretty easy to install these. I did some digging though on some forums, and I will have to cut some plastic to make these fit properly. That would have been nice to know on their website, and or even just some instructions in the packaging. Okay, and lastly is this switch. It's made by a company called Crown Offroad, and it costs $33 on their website. They call it their F150 and Raptor dual in-dash switch. It basically goes in that useless area on the passenger side of the vehicle, right next to the airbag. Not really sure what that storage is intended for, but this switch kind of will take that place, and it'll look nice, kind of look almost factory. They sent a nice wiring diagram for this, and it comes in a variety of colors for the LEDs areas here. And of course, for all of this, I will have links in the description below, and let me know if you have any questions. So the first step involves trimming the cowling that separates the windshield and your hood. We're going to cut this kind of low area in the plastic. The bracket's going to come up right through here, and that plastic's in the way of it sitting properly. So I'm going to trim this. I'm going to trim as little as I can, but I will show you guys what I end up doing, and then we'll put the brackets in. So to kind of give me an idea where I need to cut this, I'm lining up the bracket in line with the bolts they're going to attach to. They're going to end up being attached right here to the, I guess the hood hinge where those bolts lie. So I'm lining it up, and I kind of have some markings there. I'm not sure if you can see them or not. And I'm going to use those to cut a slot out and once that slot's cut, we'll slide the bracket in. Okay, so as you can see, I cut the hole in the cowling for the bracket to slide through. It's definitely a little wider than I need it to be, but I just wanted some wiggle room to make it easier for installing this. So to get this bracket through, to get this bracket into position, so we can just make sure it'll fit right, you can just slide it in between the arm that holds up the hood and the actual hood, and kind of slide it into place there. Alright, so once it's in place, we can adjust it. And alright, as you can see, it's going to sit perfectly on those bolts, and should have enough clearance to sit as they were designed. So next I'm going to get those bolts out and tighten the bracket in place. So I got the bolts out of the hood bracket here, and I will say it was kind of a pain, especially got this one in the back. Got to use a small socket wrench. It is a 10 millimeter socket, but towards the end you kind of just got to reach in there and unscrew it by yourself. One trick though, definitely keep in mind, is that this bracket is going to be like under tension, I guess, and it's going to want to lift up just based on the weight of the hood. So what you're going to want to do is wedge something to hold the hood up. Takes the weight off the bracket, so that way you can work in there, no issues. As you can see, I just used a random piece of wood I had laying around, and it's holding up the hood well enough so that I can do one side at a time, and then don't have to worry about fighting with that bracket flying up or damaging anything. Okay, so the bracket on the passenger side is in. It was a huge pain, and I understand why. A lot of the things on the forums, I saw people cut out this whole bottom section and not just that slot. If you cut out that whole bottom section, it's going to allow you to get your socket down if you have an extension, and screw this or tighten that bolt down, that back bolt down from over top, from back here. Doing it the other way, you got to wedge your socket wrench in there and then do it like one click at a time. The front one's obviously easy to get in, but once you do that, it's nice and secure, and I'm going to move on to the next one. As you can see, I got the brackets installed. They're pretty robust and pretty strong from what I can tell. The next step is to put the pods onto these brackets and then start running the wires. So the next issue I'm running into is that this bolt supplied by Black Oak is too long, and it's I'm getting interference with the cowling. So instead of cutting even more of the plastic off, I'm simply just gonna cut the bolt maybe like by somewhere between a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch, and just use a cutoff wheel, shorten it, and then move on from there. So the pods are finally on. As you can see, I got them canted out at almost like a 45-degree angle or so. With these, I'm trying to get some of that light going out to the side. This truck with the HIDs is pretty good forward, forward-facing light, and I don't really have an issue with seeing what's in front of me. It's more like all the blindness on the sides with animals running out and stuff like that. So the next step is running the wiring, and I will show you how I do that. So this is the splitter that I showed you guys earlier. It is intended to connect the two lights and allow you just to use a single wiring harness supplied by Black Oak, just to make your life a little bit easier. But do not get one of these if you have a 2013 F150, and this is what you're trying to do it. Actually, if you have any truck this size, I would not recommend buying this. It's just way too short. When I approximated in my head, I thought it would be fine, but it looks like I'm gonna have to ditch this and just connect wires, you know, the old-fashioned way. Okay, so I finally have everything wired under the hood. I have this wiring harness for this light running under this, you know, this piece of plastic here. I kind of threw it, kind of hides it nicely and keeps it out of the way and protects it. All right, then I have it exiting out over here, and this is where I cut this wiring, the wiring harness, and then I basically linked it to this light's wiring harness. So I have the leads coming out down here, going into the relay. I mounted the relay on this little bolt here, holding up this plastic. And then I ran the positive negative, you know, just to the battery here. Kind of routed it as nice as I could. I am going to put some plastic protection over this, just to kind of keep it from getting cut or you know, expose the elements too much. All right, so then I have the 3 wires for the switch. I led those down to this grommet here, this rubber grommet. Just pulled it out of the way, led those wires in, and if you'll see, it's going to lead right to the passenger side. If you take out the fuse panel cover over here and reach up high, you'll feel that rubber grommet on the inside. And here's the switch. I am going to use that other switch, as you guys know, but just to test it, I'm going to try it out. Okay, you can see it turns red when the light is on, and as you can see, the LEDs are on, nice and bright, both functioning. So my next step is just to install that switch in the place I want it, and then we're pretty much done. Alright, so I have my wires run up to the cubby hole on the passenger side here. I did have to extend them, as you can see right here. You know, just about 6 to 10 inches too short, so just had to add some wire to allow me to reach the switch. Crown Off-Road has some really good directions. All you have to do is drill a hole in the back of that cubby, feeds the wires through, and then I just have to add the connectors to their switch, and then I'll be all finished. Okay, so the original connectors that come with the black oak switch are too small to fit on these, so you're gonna have to fit on these 12 to 10 gauge wire connectors, quick disconnects. They're pretty cheap. You can get them at your local automotive store. Okay, so I have this project basically finished. The switch is all hooked up. It has power. When you light it up, the LED turns red in there. And as you can see, the lights are on. It's a pretty nice switch. It, you know, it looks like it's supposed to be there, in my opinion. Looks pretty good. Really nice tactile feel, and I got room for one other for something on down the line. So I'll give you guys a shot of what it looks like at night and how I have the lights set up, and you can let me know how they look. Alright, so I am out in the middle of nowhere. Just going to give you guys an idea what these look like. These are just the normal HIDs. It came stock on the F150. This is what they look like, the floodlights, not much different. I'd put the high beams on. You know, as you can see a pretty good distance. And if we move to like the front right of the truck and then turn the lights on, you know, you can really see, you know, that was like pitch black before. Now you can see it really well. I got them angled out a little bit too far, farther than I probably would like. Might angle them maybe like 10 degrees towards the inside. but as you can see, they light up the sides really well. You know, I really don't like that gap there that's created, so I'm gonna change that. But yeah, gives you an idea of what you can do, and maybe you can do this on your own.